Imagine for a second that you could, I don't know, pinpoint the exact moment a cultural bomb goes off.
Right.
Not a war or a political thing. I'm talking about a moment where just everything changes. The clothes, the music, how people even talk to each other.
And we're looking at a really, really tight window for this one. Basically 1988 into 89 in the UK.
Yeah, what people now call the second summer of love.
It sounds a bit flowery, doesn't it? But what it really is the explosion of acid house music.
Exactly. And we've got a whole stack of research here. Oral histories, old flyers, sociological papers, and they all trace this incredible journey.
Journey of a sound, really.
A sound. This weird, squelchy electronic music that goes from Chicago basement, somehow lands in the UK, and then just completely rewires British youth culture.
It's amazing. And that's our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To trace that very specific path.
Yeah. How do you get from a birthday trip in Ibiza to, 10,000 people dancing in a field next to the M25 motorway?
And maybe the most interesting part, how a full-blown moral panic from the media accidentally became the fuel for the whole movement.
Oh, that's my favorite bit. The law of unintended consequences. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because every revolution has an origin story. And this one starts, of all places, at a birthday party. Summer of 1987.
Right. So you have to picture the UK in 87. It's a bit gray, politically tense.
A little grim.
Yeah. And you've got these four DJs, Paul Oakenfold, Danny Rampling, Nicky Holloway, Johnny Walker, and they just want to escape.
So they go to Ibiza for Oakenfold's birthday.
And these guys are not tourists, they're working DJs. They know the London scene inside and out. But what they find there is just completely alien.
They walk into this club called Amnesia, and from all the accounts we've read, calling it a nightclub just doesn't do it justice.
Not at all. I mean, a London club back then was all about posing, right?
Yeah.
Velvet ropes, looking cool.
Very detached.
Very detached. Amnesia was open air. You're dancing under the stars. And then, and this is the crucial part, the sun comes up while the music is still playing.
That sunrise moment. And the soundtrack for that sunrise is this guy, DJ Alfredo. What was he playing that was so different?
He was playing everything. That was
Yeah.
the thing. It was this eclectic mix, he called it. Pop, soul, bits of world music. But then woven into all that,
The Chicago stuff.
he drunk in these strange, hypnotic tracks from Chicago. Early house, and more specifically, acid house.
And so you mix that sound, the open air, the sunrise, and let's be honest, the MDMA culture on the island.
You have to mention it, yeah.
And for these four DJs, it wasn't just a fun night out. The sources call it a transcendent experience.
It was a total paradigm shift. They saw that the music and the drug were creating this communal joy that just didn't exist back home.
In London, you stuck with your mates. In Ibiza, suddenly none of that mattered.
It wasn't about who you were or what you did for a living. It was just about that one shared moment on the dance floor.
So they come back to London like missionaries. They're thinking, we have to recreate this. We have to export this feeling.
Which is such a hard thing to do, right?
Yeah.
You can bring the records back, but can you bring back the Mediterranean sunrise?
Can you bottle that vibe and open it on a rainy Tuesday in South London?
Well, they tried. Late 87, early 88, Danny Rampling starts a night called Shoom in a gym.
In a gym.
And Paul Oakenfold launches Spectrum. And they weren't just playing the music, they were like trying to engineer the atmosphere.
That's it. They were trying to build communities. They brought in the smiley face logo, which became so iconic.
And they used smoke machines and strobes to deliberately disorient you, to break down your inhibitions.
The whole point was to get rid of those social barriers. At a normal club, you'd be worried about looking cool. At Shoom, everyone was just dancing with everyone.
That's the Ibiza vibe, translated. And the fuel for it was that pure Chicago acid. Artists like Future, Adonis, Fast Eddie.
We have to stop and talk about that sound, because if you've never heard it, it's just bizarre. It's this squelching, liquidy noise. What is that?
Well, you're basically listening to a machine being misused in the best possible way.
Okay.
It's a Roland TB-303. It was designed in the early 80s to be a bass synthesizer for guitarists to practice with. It was supposed to sound like a bass guitar.
And it was a total failure at that, wasn't it?
A complete commercial flop. It sounded nothing like a bass. You could find them in pawn shops for like 50 quid.
Wow.
But then these producers in Chicago found that if you messed with the knobs while a sequence was playing, the machine just started to sing.
Or squelch.
Or squelch. It made that alien liquid sound. And that sound became the sound of the rebellion. It sounded like nothing else.
It sounded like the future.
Exactly. And because it was instrumental, so abstract, you could project anything onto it. It was pure energy.
And that energy was clearly infectious. So infectious that by the summer of '88, the clubs couldn't hold it anymore.
This is when it scales up. Shoom and Spectrum are rammed every week. Thousands of kids want in, and the legal venues just aren't big enough.
So when demand outstrips legal supply,
You get a black market. In this case, the guerrilla party, the warehouse rave.
the legendary M25 raves.
Right, the M25 is the motorway that circles London. And in '88, it became the artery for this whole scene. Promoters would break into warehouses or just find a massive field.
And they could host 5, maybe 10,000 people.
This part of the research is like something out of a spy novel. It wasn't like buying a ticket online. It was a proper cat and mouse game with the police.
So walk me through it. I'm a teenager in 1988. How do I even get to the party?
Okay, so you might go to a specific service station on the motorway, a meeting point. Or you'd wait for a pirate radio station to broadcast a phone number at the last minute.
And you'd have to find a phone box to call it. No mobiles.
You'd call the number, get another location, and you'd end up in a convoy of cars.
Just following the taillights in front of you with no idea where you're actually going.
No GPS, no Google Maps, just pure faith that you're heading to a massive party and not, a police blockade.
That sense of adventure must have made the community even stronger.
It was a filter. You had to really want to be there. And the scene was so resilient. If the police shut one rave down, the convoys would just turn around, use CB radios, and find another one.
A hydra. You cut off one head, 2 more appear.
The authorities basically described it as too large, too mobile, and too determined to be stopped.
But obviously the establishment noticed, and this is when the media really wakes up to what's happening.
And this is the backlash. The classic moral panic, new youth culture, drugs, loud music, press the big red button.
The headlines were just incredible. Acid house horror.
Evil of ecstasy. They made it sound like the end of the world was happening in a field somewhere in Hertfordshire.
And this is where it gets really ironic, because that kind of media hysteria,
That's the Streisand effect.
100%. By trying to stamp it out, they just publicized it to everyone who hadn't heard about it yet.
Think about it. You're a bored teenager in some sleepy town. You read a paper saying, "Warning! Dangerous new cult dancing all night to futuristic music."
You don't think, oh, I'll stay away from that. You think, where do I sign up?
Exactly. Every negative article was a recruitment poster. The media did all the marketing for the promoters for free.
So the crowds get even bigger.
Yeah.
And the government finally steps in with actual laws.
Yep, you get the Entertainments Act in 1990, and then the infamous Criminal Justice Act in 1994.
That's the one that tried to ban music with a succession of repetitive beats.
Which is basically all dance music. But here's the thing the sources point out. By the time those laws came in, the culture had already won. It was too late.
The toothpaste was out of the tube.
It had already morphed into legal superclubs and festivals. It'd become permanent.
And speaking of that, the music was also changing. It wasn't just Chicago imports anymore.
No, this is where the UK sound really emerges. British producers start making their own tracks.
And they're not just copies. You've got Ludu Ray by a guy called Gerald.
Oh, a total masterpiece from '88. It's got that 303 line, but it's more melodic, almost melancholic. It sounds uniquely British.
And then 808 States, Pacific State, that has a saxophone.
A saxophone and bird calls. It brought this beautiful atmospheric quality to it. It showed the music could be for the sunrise, not just for a dark room.
And you can't forget Stacker Humanoid by Humanoid.
A really futuristic, harder sound. The UK producers were adding break beats, which is crucial because that's the path that leads to jungle and drum and bass.
So we've got the music, the parties, the panic, but let's go back to the name. Why the Second Summer of Love?
It's a direct nod to 1967 in San Francisco, the hippie movement. And the parallels are actually quite striking.
A massive youth convergence, a rejection of the establishment.
And a drug of choice that helped shape the whole ethos.
In 67, it was LSD and guitars. In 88, MDMA and drum machines. But the vibe, that feeling of connection was very similar.
It was, and the symbols too. That yellow smiley face was everywhere.
On t-shirts, flyers, everything.
And the phrase, "have a nice day," suddenly wasn't this empty Americanism. It was a code. It meant, I'm one of you, we're in this together.
And that unity had real, measurable social effects. The one that blows my mind is the impact on football hooliganism.
It's one of the most significant things. I mean, football violence was a national crisis in the UK. Rival firms were causing serious trouble. every single weekend.
And then those same guys started going to raves.
It's pretty hard to fight someone from a rival firm when you were both hugging each other in a field at 6 a.m, you know?
Right.
The tribalism of football, which was based on hate, was replaced by the tribalism of the dance floor, which was based on unity. And police stats from the time actually show a drop in football-related violence.
It wasn't just football either. It was class, race.
The UK is famously class-conscious, but in a dark warehouse, no one cares if you're a stockbroker or a bricklayer. And the fashion, the baggy jeans, bright colors, it was a uniform that flattened all those hierarchies.
Everyone was just a raver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the language changed, too. Words like sordid, avid, mental, it just permeated everything.
So to recap this whole arc, it's just incredible. It starts with 4 DJs on a birthday trip.
They get their minds blown in Ibiza.
They bring it back, start a few small clubs. Those clubs explode into massive illegal raves all around London.
The media tries to kill it, which just makes it stronger.
And in the process, they accidentally help reduce football violence and change how an entire generation of kids dress and talk.
When you lay it all out like that, it sounds completely impossible. But that was the power of it. It proved youth culture could create its own rules, its own future.
And it changed electronic music forever.
Oh, completely. Every mega festival, every superstar DJ today, you can draw a straight line from them all the way back to a muddy field off the M25.
It's an amazing legacy for that little silver box, the Roland 303, that nobody even wanted.
It shows you it's not the tools, it's how you use them.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. We talked about the backlash, the media, the police, the government. If they had just ignored Acid House, if they hadn't panicked, would it have just fizzled out?
It's the great question of counterculture, isn't it?
Does a legendary movement need an enemy to become immortal? Did the attempt to crush it provide the exact pressure needed to turn a piece of coal into a diamond?
Rebellion definitely needs something to rebel against.
Think about that. Thanks for diving in with us.
Take care.